the true learning has come from working with women and really seeing what works individually, and really the root causes are all so unique and individual for each person. That's really what it boils down to. And I really, from birth, as far back as I can remember at least, and from what my mom remembers as well, pretty much started at birth with having gut issues. And for me, it shows up differently for each person. For me, I always felt nauseous. I always felt like I was going to throw up. Like I had colic as a baby, and then I went through it, when I was a little kid, when I was a teenager, well into my 20s, and I ended up having really bad acne. Sometimes I didn't even want to leave the house. So I went down a rabbit hole of just finding my own resources and really trial and erroring, if that's a word, on myself. And I finally felt good one day, and it was like this veil lifted. I felt this weight lift, and I was like, this is the first time in my life I haven't felt sick. And my skin cleared up, and I had energy again. And I was like, I have to be able to figure out why this happened, what got me better.
If you could go back to that younger Marissa, what would you tell her in terms of how would you guide her towards one, understanding what works, and two, understanding what to ditch and what to start imbibing in your lifestyle?
So that's a really interesting question. I've never been asked that before.
Hey, before we dive in, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. It means so much to me. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to hit subscribe and join us on this journey. You see, we created BioBelly because gut health changed everything for me and the people I love. I watched my best friend Ankit battle ulcerative colitis and my aunt struggle with IBS-C, and seeing their pain showed me how broken the system really is. There's so much confusion out there and so little care that feels personal or hopeful. BioBelly exists to change just that, with science you can trust, education that empowers you, and solutions that actually help. So if you believe in making gut health simple, compassionate, and effective, I'd love for you to subscribe and be part of this movement with us. And for little daily gut health tips and encouragement, you can always find me on TikTok at the Gut Guy. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Okay, welcome back to the BioBelly podcast, where we dive deep into gut health with some of the brightest minds and the most passionate healers in the space. Today, I'm joined by Marissa Hughes, a gut health coach and founder of the Happy Belly Method. Marissa has worked with hundreds of women to uncover the root causes behind digestive struggles using tools like microbiome testing, personalized nutrition, and lifestyle protocols that go beyond quick fixes. She's on a mission to help people transform their gut and reclaim their lives by reconnecting with what the body truly needs to heal. We're going to talk about everything from why so many of us have these struggles with gut health to how modern medicine and lifestyle can sometimes work against us, and the practical steps we can take to rebuild balance from the inside out. So let's get into it. Marissa, thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. I could talk about gut health all day, every day. So I'm super happy to be here. And your introduction was very well said. So thank you.
Absolutely. So, starting off, Marissa, if you could share your personal journey, what led you into gut health and creating the Happy Belly method?
Yeah, so I think like a lot of coaches, we get into coaching because of our own personal experiences. And I really, from birth, as far back as I can remember at least, and from what my mom remembers as well, pretty much started at birth with having gut issues. And I for me, it shows up differently for each person. For me, I always felt nauseous. I always felt like I was going to throw up. Like I had colic as a baby, and then I went through it, when I was a little kid, when I was a teenager, well into my 20s, and I ended up having like really bad acne. Sometimes I didn't even want to leave the house. I had, had troubles eating because I didn't know what was going to make me feel sick. And that lasted well into my 30s. And then all the other things that go along with it. I had anxiety pretty bad. I had insomnia where I would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning every single day and couldn't go back to sleep until, right before my alarm goes off, one of those things. And then I would want to sleep till noon. I was really fatigued. So it just kind of snowballed, right? It always starts as kind of one little red flag and then it snowballs into all these other things. And so I was in the restaurant business forever, still am, but I decided, after going to various doctors who just weren't helping me at all. One doctor even I told him my symptoms, and he goes, "Well, I guess you just must be defective," and
Oh,
gave me a bill and sent me on my way. And I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I know there has to be an answer. This was really before Instagram and Facebook and, where you could kind of find health coaches and find naturopaths and find resources really. So I went down a rabbit hole of just finding my own resources and really trial and erroring, if that's a word, on myself. And I finally felt good one day. And it was like this veil lifted. I felt this weight lift. And I was like, this is the first time in my life I haven't felt sick. And my skin cleared up and I had energy again. And I was like, I have to be able to figure out why this happened, what got me better, and how I can help other people because we all know there's what they say now 70, 80 million people have gut issues. And so I quit the restaurant business and I went back to school and became a certified transformational nutrition coach. And then I got a certification in digestive health and started teaching Pilates. And then I got certified in transformational trauma informed breath work to kind of add the nervous system piece into it. And that is what has brought me here to you today with my program, the Happy Belly Method. And I just encompass everything I've done with myself, everything I've learned through school and podcasts and books and all of that. And then really the true learning has come from working with women and really seeing what works individually and really the root causes are all so unique and individual for each person. That's really what it boils down to.
amazing, amazing. And when you did, if you could backtrack in your life story, when it was that time where that veil did lift and you're like, wow, I feel 1,000 times better. Up until that moment, one thing is, was it just like one moment where instantly you're like, "Oh my god, everything's clicking," or was it like a journey, maybe like the course of a few years where that recovering needed time?
It was a bit of a journey, but I really didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't a journey of like anything specific. It was like I don't feel good. So it was just trying
Mhm.
this and trying that, but there were so many things I didn't know. So it wasn't going anywhere. And then one day I Dr. Oz, I was reading a magazine and Dr. Oz had a 3-day smoothie cleanse. And all you had every day was 4 smoothies. And I was like, I don't know, I'll try it. Seems like a good thing to try. And that was it for the first time in my life. I didn't feel like I was going to throw up, but I didn't know what it was. Right. And so I kept just going down this journey of like, what was it about that made me feel better? But what I didn't know then that I know now is that just removing the foods that don't make you feel good isn't the solution, which is where I think a lot of people stop. Like, "Oh, I removed the foods that made me sick, so now I should be better," right? But really what I had to dive deep into was how how come I had to remove those foods to feel better? Why isn't my body able to digest them well? And then also repairing the damage that was already done from those particular foods. And that's the little piece of the puzzle that got me to really where I needed to be was that, oh, there's damage that's been done. So repairing that damage will make it so that I can build my gut back up to this really strong place where I can eat more foods now than I could when I was in my 20s, right? Because now I have all the pieces of the puzzle put together to make a strong digestive system and a strong body that can digest food again.
Amazing, amazing. I guess my follow-up to that is now, as they say, right? Hindsight is 2020. If you could go back to that younger Marissa, what would you tell her in terms of how would you guide her towards one, understanding what works, and two, understanding what to ditch and what to start imbibing in your lifestyle?
So that's a really interesting question. I've never been asked that before. That's a really good question. So, what a lot of people don't know is that gut issues can start from when you're born. So, if you are born C section, which sometimes is just a necessity, right? The baby is not getting all of the good bacteria that are there to populate the baby's gut. And so right away, you can start out, not your fault, but you can start out sort of behind, where a lot of the babies start with their gut bacteria. In addition to that, if you are not breastfed, which again is just has to happen sometimes and it's totally okay. No blame or shame with anybody, right? My mom was told not to breastfeed. Um, you aren't getting so many of the essential nutrients and bacteria and enzymes and all the things that boost your immune system and the breast milk is actually so fascinating because it adjusts to the baby and the baby's needs. Like that's why, breast milk is so important. So, you also start out with leaky gut. When you're born, you have leaky gut, quote unquote, because you want to get all the nutrients from your mother while you're in the womb. You need that gut to be permeable. And then when you get your breast milk, the very first milk that comes out is called colostrum, and that seals up
Mhm.
your leaky gut, in addition to so many other things. So if you don't get the breast milk and you don't seal up that leaky gut, you are basically just kind of born with that intestinal hyperpermeability is the medical term. And so I had colic, everything made me sick. It was probably in part due to that leaky gut. And then, when my mom raised me, she always cooked healthy food, made me a healthy dinner, but when I went out of the house, I ate chips and Pop-Tarts and drank a ton of pop, and I ate all junk food basically when I was on my own. So, the combination of kinda starting out a little bit, you know, I would say a little bit more susceptible to gut issues, and then just throwing all of the junk garbage food for 20 years on top of it. If I could go back, I would say there are ways to build up your gut and your immune system when you are young. I didn't know for all those years that gluten was one of my main issues. And the way I figured that out was after that smoothie cleanse, the very first time I ate a piece of bread, I immediately felt like I was going to throw up again. And I was like, oh, and this is before anyone even talked about gluten. So I guess
Mhm.
if I were to go back, I would say lay off the gluten and build up your gut strong again, right? So, like, if you were born a certain way, it doesn't mean that that is your life sentence. So, work on strengthening the gut, work on eating a healthier diet, maybe some fruits and vegetables, and drink water instead of pop, and all those things, and still be able to go out and enjoy your life and have fun because that is what life is all about. But work on strengthening the foundation of health so that your body will be able to digest and absorb all the things that you eat in the future.
I love it though, because it's so insightful. What really warms my heart is when, a part of the advice that you gave younger Marissa was to, enjoy your life and, still seize the moment because that's the juice that's what we live for. And like, it does prompt me to ask, after you got certified, specifically in gut health and nutrition, and digestive issues, what prompted you to get that further certification of breath work and trauma? In that, were you seeing your clients having those issues related to the nervous system?
Yes, really good question. So, when I first got my certification in nutrition and digestive health was in 2018, and I really started out one-on-one coaching and I was helping people with their nutrition and with their supplements basically. And as much as that is absolutely a foundation and absolutely helpful, what I really started to see was people were getting better, but it was like 90% better or 80% better. And what I was really seeing was a common thread through most of my clients that they were kind of running up here, like pretty stressed, kind of always in a rush, always kind of worried about everything. And I was like, this piece is what is missing out of my program. So I wrote my program in 2020 during the shutdown when I had to, I shut down my Pilates studio and my in-person clients. I wrote my program in 2020. I started adding in the gut microbiome testing, which was a total game changer, amazing. And then last year, I was like, I really am noticing this nervous system piece. And I really started looking into how much that affects the gut, which turns out it's all, I mean, the nervous
Right.
system is everything with the gut, right? So
Absolutely. Yes.
I started doing my breathwork certification. And what I learned is it's so much more about breathwork. Like it's actually a 6-month program and I'm still in it a year and a half later because you learn about your energy, your thoughts, your beliefs, your patterns, your old traumas, and how you can store these things in your body. And a lot of times we store them, in our gut. And so learning how to really take care of yourself and create safety in your body and in your nervous system is just such a big piece of the puzzle. And so I'm completely redoing my whole program right now to make that nervous system piece a much bigger piece of the program.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, because I guess the next question I do have is in your experience, what proportion of gut issues in your experience have you seen were due to this nervous system slash stress and trauma versus just actual food intolerances or just food sensitivities?
Mhm. Yeah, so I believe that it's always a four-piece situation. So
Okay.
my 4 happy belly pillars are nutrition, the gut microbiome, detoxification, and the gut-brain connection. And I truly believe that with those 4 pillars, if you have them all strong, your body can handle anything. What we have done, especially as women, has we've been on these diet roller coasters, so our nutrition is way off.
Yeah.
We've had way too many antibiotics in our lives, so our gut microbiome is way off. We have too many toxins coming into the body through our water, through our food, through our beauty products, through our household products. So our body has these toxins that it's trying to fight off. And then we've had trauma and we've had, a roller coaster of emotions throughout our life. And so there's that nervous system piece. So I truly believe that it really is 25% of each. Even women who, are like, I eat a perfect diet. Like I eat a clean diet and I don't know why I still don't feel good. And then I will take what they're eating and come back to them and say, you are very malnutrition. Like you are
Wow.
way under eating enough nutrients. And so I always believe that there is a piece of all 4 of those things in there. And every single one of those things affects the other. So we can't have toxins in our body without it affecting our nervous system. We can't, have a wired nervous system and still be getting all of our nutrients, right? So it's all 4 of those things really work in conjunction. And I think that's what we were never taught any of this,
No.
right? So when I teach my clients all 4 of those pillars, so we build the foundation and then we build those 4 pillars. So your health home, let's say, is really strong and stable. Then you can kind of handle anything that comes your way. But we've kind of depleted our bodies over the years in all 4 of those areas. So I truly believe that it's never just one thing or another. It's really all 4 of those pieces.
Yeah, yeah, and Marissa, I think that's why it's very hard for people to find true healing, because it's like being able to decipher, like being able to like look at the intricacies of these four pillars. And of course, it's not just one thing and not the other. It's like everything combined. It's just so hard to nitpick what the main culprit is. And to your point,
Yeah.
there's so many unique root causes. My next question was, Marissa, when, let's just say, let's play a scenario where someone comes through your door and says, "Hey, I want help." What, from step one to from 0 to 1, what does that process look like in terms of what are the first steps you're taking to better get to know the client, or the patient? And then from there, like, how does it work, whether it's testing, whether it's breath work? How does that whole process start?
Yeah. So, right, I have a whole form that they fill out so I can learn everything. And it involves past medications, their level of stress, their level of workout, sleep. I mean, everything. So I can really get to know them. And of course, we do a whole, 90-minute sort of intake over Zoom. And then I have a Happy Belly course online, and it tells you step by step exactly what to be doing. And we really start with mindset, which is the piece that most people want to skip over because they're just like, "Oh, I just want the meal plan and the supplements," right?
Right.
But I really encourage them, like, the mindset is such an important piece because if we keep ourselves in the same mindset loop, it's gonna be very hard to change the physical body. Our body is always listening to our thoughts, and so we have the same thoughts over and over again every day, and they're usually pretty negative. So if we can kind of flip that and get the mindset into this more sort of healing place, then the body usually follows after that. And so in each of my modules, I have a breath work that it kind of takes you on a journey. So it's 10 modules, and it takes you on this journey of sort of self-reflection and moves you through the program. So I love to start with just trying to get the nervous system to be a little bit more calm because we can always heal better when the nervous system is that way. But immediately, day one, I order your gut microbiome test
Okay.
because we definitely want to see what is going on in your digestive system, and we can get a clear like snapshot, like what bacteria you are lacking, what bacteria you might have too much of, how you're digesting carbohydrates, how you're digesting protein. Do you have toxic buildup in the intestines? Do you have, or is your body processing hormones properly? Is it making vitamins? So, this is such an important piece, and it takes about a month. So, in that month, that's when we want to begin to dial in making sure you're getting all of your nutrients because that's what we build the cells of our body out of. And so if we want to rebuild this really strong, healthy body, including your gut and your immune system, we need to make sure you're getting all of your nutrients. And so the problem is that so many people, even if they're eating that clean diet, they're not absorbing their nutrients because they're not breaking them down properly in their stomach. And so we just need to start at this foundational level, like making sure that we can get you 100+% of your nutrients. Like the government wants you to get the baseline amount.
Minimum.
I
Yeah.
want you to get the
Hmm.
optimum amount, right? So
Everyone.
that you
Yep.
have
That's the
this
best.
crazy amount of energy and you're in a good mood and you can sleep well. That all comes from your nutrients, just your basic vitamins and minerals. And when we can get them from these particular food sources that are easy to digest so that you can actually absorb them, that's huge. So that's what we work on in the first month basically is getting your nutrition on point and getting your nervous system to calm down a little bit, be more flexible. I always like to use the word flexible because we need to get into fight or flight to
Right.
handle stress, but we need to be able to get back down into rest and digest and be able to go back
Yes.
and forth, which a lot of people are just kind of stuck up in fight or flight, all the time. And then the healing just isn't possible in that state. So then we get your gut microbiome test results in about a month. And then I meet with the lab and we go through the health history, everything about the client. We really go through everything with a fine tooth comb and we start putting the puzzle pieces together. Like, oh, this is probably why this person is constipated because look at this particular bacteria or whatever it might be.
Ah, okay.
And it really is nice for for me, but really for the client to see something in black and white because they've been going so long without any answers. They've been going to the doctors, they've been going to the specialists, they went to the gastro, they got the tests, and no one had any answers for them. Sometimes they just say, "Well, you just have to live with it. It's just something that you live with." And I don't like that answer. So
Right.
it's nice for them. It's like you can see the exhale, like, finally I have an answer to why this is happening in my body. Like my body's not broken. I just need to dial in these puzzle pieces to start feeling better. And then they get their food protocol, supplement protocol, lifestyle sort of behavior protocol, and that's usually 3 to 6 months, depending.
Yeah.
And so as they go through that protocol, then they go through the Happy Belly Method online course. And I really am teaching them how to truly take care of their own bodies. Like it's about so much more than the food and the supplements, right? It's about like really implementing everything you need to build your health really from the inside out.
Love it. Love it. That's so cool.
Thank
I'm
you.
so sorry. If I'm looking here, it's actually because I'm taking notes because I'm just immersing myself in
Oh,
everything
yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying. But
No,
yeah, like so my first question for this test, is it a GI map test? Is it like a stool test?
it's not a GI map, it's a little bit different. It is a stool
Okay.
test, so it's just an
Okay.
at-home stool test. You get your own sample. It's not very
Of
fun,
course.
but yeah. And
Gotcha.
it's from a company called Microbiome Labs,
Okay.
and they're really on the forefront of microbiome research,
Right.
and, their test is called Biome FX, and what I love about them is
Reflux.
they work with me. Like, a lot of tests you order and you don't get any you might get an AI response to the particular bacteria that's there and what they would do about that. But what I really like about this company is I like to know all the little details about my client. Have they gone through a stressful death in the family lately? Have they had, many rounds of antibiotics lately? Like all these little details. And then I work with the lab and we use all those details to put the puzzle pieces together. An AI response, because I've taken a lot of stool tests just
Tests.
so I can see the
Mhm.
difference. And those AI responses don't take those nuances into account. So I feel like you're just not getting the full picture with some of these other companies. And I'm not specifically talking about GI Map, but this company in particular is the only one I've seen that really does the work like that.
Got it. So once the sample is administered and Microbiome Labs has it and they have analyzed the sample, from there are they interpreting the results with you, saying that okay, we saw this bacterial strain deficiency, meaning this might mean this certain gut issue? Is that how it works?
Yeah. So I
Got it.
sit on Zoom with
Mhm.
with someone from the lab and we go through everything and they also have the client's whole health history there, and before we even get on, they have started kind of putting the puzzle pieces together, and then we really continue to put it together, and every time I have a meeting, and I've done I don't know how many of these, every time I have a meeting with them, I learn something new because there's always new research or there's always a bacteria that I've never seen before, and they know everything about every bacteria pretty much what it does in the body, and it's absolutely fascinating, and I it's my favorite thing that I do is get on these lab test result meetings because it shows you the clear answer to
Right.
what is happening in the body, and it is just fascinating to me how many moving parts there are all the time. Right? And how many things have
Right.
to be going right all the time for you to feel good? And the fact that we can kinda see these things in black and white is really it's reassuring to me and to the client too.
Absolutely. And so, along with specifically, is it just the bacterial strains and their concentrations we're seeing in this panel? Because I loved how you said it. It made it easy for me to understand. It's like a snapshot. You're taking a screenshot of the gut, right? So, along with
Mhm.
the bacteria, I remember you're saying that the information you can learn is how your body digests certain types of foods, the toxic buildup, even like how is your body making vitamins. So
Mhm.
along with the bacterial strains, what is the other information that's, that we're interpreting to figure out these key insights as to how they're making their vitamins, how they're digesting, and so forth?
Yeah, so good question. That it's fascinating what our bacteria actually do in our body. A lot of
Right.
people, again, no one was ever taught this. And really, studies into the microbiome have only started in the last few decades, as far as I can tell. So, you know, if people understood what our gut bacteria does in our body, I think they'd be more apt to taking care of it. But we were
Yeah.
just never taught this. So every time we get a round of antibiotics, it not only wipes out the bacteria that you want to get rid of, but they don't pick and choose. They also get rid of our good guys, quote unquote. And every time we, eat junk food and we don't have any fiber and we get stressed out and we don't sleep, all of these things affect our gut bacteria. So we want to have a good amount of gut bacteria, and we can see how many different strains you have in your gut, but we also can see the diversity. So you wanna have a
Ah,
good diversity, you don't wanna have, like, 20% of your gut be this one kind of bacteria. You wanna have it's like the more if you had, like, a big company that had 1,000,000,000,000 employees, you wouldn't wanna have half of your company be the same kind of job, right? You need to
right.
have employees that are doing all the different kinds of jobs, and that's really what we need in our gut as well. So we can see the diversity. They use whole genome sequencing so we can actually see, like, the family, the phylum, the strain, like, we can get really down into the specifics of it. So the bacterial part is fascinating and wonderful and all that. We can see if there's an overgrowth of pathogenic bacteria. A lot of people have multiple different, bacterial infections with pathogenic bacteria. But we can also see, besides just the bacteria, we can see if your body, let's say you are eating protein and for some reason your body's not breaking it down well, we can see if too much protein is ending up in your large intestine and it's getting fermented there. The bacteria don't really love a lot of protein in the large intestine. They love
Right.
fiber. We can see if there's too much protein ending up there, and this protein fermentation creates these toxic byproducts, and we can see if there's a lot of toxic byproducts building up in your large intestine. And so from there we can go, okay, well, why is so much protein ending up in your large intestine? Because we want to break it down in the stomach and absorb it in the small intestine. So why is this happening? Well, maybe this person's been on PPIs for a long time, acid blockers. So maybe they now don't have the proper stomach acid to break down the protein, and that's why it's ending up in the colon. So, okay, let's support this person's stomach acid. Or maybe this person doesn't have the digestive enzymes to break down this protein. Or maybe this person is always eating in a stressed state. And so their body isn't prepared for the food when it gets down there. And the
Wow.
digestion is really shut down because we're in a stressed state. And so the food is just making its way through without really being properly digested. So we can take these cues from the gut test, and then I talk to the client and go, we need to make sure that this protein isn't ending up in your large intestine. Here are a few ideas of what we can do. And then we can also see, like, if your body, let's say, isn't making any K2, your gut bacteria in your body, they make vitamin K2. Well, you need vitamin K2. It's very important and it's really hard to get from food. So let's go ahead and put in a supplement of K2, probably a D3 K2 supplement. So there's all these little pieces that we can put together. We can also see there's a bacterial sort of process, these bacteria called the estrobolome, and they are the ones that will recycle your estrogen or send the estrogen out to be excreted. And some people are recycling way too much estrogen. They're not excreting enough of it. So now you have this estrogen dominance flowing through the body. Well, this might happen in a person that's constipated. So they're not excreting enough estrogen out of the body. So let's support the estrobolome. Let's get this person to be having healthy bowel movements every single day. And then we can start to see the change in how much estrogen is flowing through their body. So it's like so fascinating how everything affects the other, you know?
It's really mind blowing, to be honest. Another pillar that you were talking about is detoxification, and
Mhm.
one thing I know you're a big proponent of course, of course, as your Pilates instructor as well, is exercise, right?
Mhm.
So along with like so after that testing and after the proper supplement protocol, lifestyle protocol, once your students have quote unquote graduated from that segment and now they're into the happy belly protocol, what are the lifestyle like the exercises like how do you kind of like prescribe certain exercises for them to be able to ensure they can properly detoxify as well?
Mhm. Yeah. And a lot of people don't really understand that you do need to move the body to properly detox. Like our lymphatic system needs to be moved. You know,
Right,
our heart can pump our blood, but the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. And that's kind of our, our garbage carrier, I would say. And we
right.
need that garbage carrier to be working and flowing to properly detox. And so we are the pump for the lymphatic system. So moving the body is so important. And a lot of my ladies that come to me are sort of in this menopausal stage, whether it's perimenopause, menopause, beyond.
Mhm.
And what a lot of what we were never taught and what a lot of women miss is that exercising harder isn't necessarily the best thing for us in our is even when you're in your cycle and in
Right.
premenopause, it's not always the best thing to do really hard aggressive workouts, especially when you are already a stressed out person and you might kind of live in fight or flight, and then this workout gets you more into fight or flight, and then it's much harder to come down to that rest and digest and heal state. And so what I love about Pilates is we're gaining strength, we're gaining mobility and flexibility. I want you to be able to run around and get down on the floor with your kids when you're 80 years old or your grandkids. And so that mobility piece is really important. And then putting on muscle because if you're over 40, you're losing muscle every day. Like for women, it's really scary,
Right.
osteoporosis and sarcopenia. But we're not stressing out the body in order to gain this muscle and this flexibility. We're really keeping the body in a nice, calm state. And we're doing a lot of deep breathing as we do it. So it keeps the body in this beautiful nervous system state where we're not stressing out the body. We're keeping it here. So you don't we need to worry about recovery and all of that because it's all sort of encompassed. And so I love, love, love using Pilates as a tool for women of all sizes, all ages, all abilities to be able to move their body. I have women who can't get down on their knees, and so I have a video that doesn't involve being on your knees or on your hands and knees. We can really use it for anyone at any stage, and it's so gentle on the body that it's not going to have this detrimental effect that a lot of when you do too much cardio or some of these like belly blaster, whatever classes, it's like some of that
Yeah.
can be really detrimental to the female body. And so I love using a more gentle approach to it.
I love it. And Marissa, to be honest, I think after this call, I'm definitely gonna call my mom and my aunt to meet you because, like, they're because as you say, perimenopause and menopause. I think my mom, she had me when she was very young, so I think she is in that perimenopause. Where my aunt, she is definitely in the menopause. They have a 12-year age
Mhm.
gap. It's wild, but
Yeah.
my mom, what I noticed about her is she has a very stressful job. Right, she's a
Mm,
lawyer and
mhm.
it's immigration law. So it's like a
Ah,
very they're very high stakes when
yes.
she's interacting with her clients. So that's one thing. She has a lot of stress. Along
Mhm.
with that, I'm actually her. You could say her trainer, like her physical trainer. Like I make her. So I have a background in CrossFit. Um,
Okay.
so so I myself do CrossFit every day, and when my mom started, saying I need to lose weight, usually what she
Mhm.
used to do is dance. She used to have like this nice Bollywood dance school that she used to
I
go to.
love
That's
that.
only like, right? That was like
Yeah.
12 minutes away, and she loved it. But unfortunately, I don't know what it was. I think the instructor left,
Mm,
and from there she just didn't like the place altogether and they hiked up the sprite the price, and there was a lot of things. So she had to leave that. And then what she noticed is she doesn't have that exercise component in her life anymore. And
Mhm.
so I came to her and I said, "Come on, let's train. I'll we'll do a warm up. We'll do a quick body weight circuit." I bought her like the medicine balls and the dumbbells. So it's exciting, but there
Yeah.
are times I agree with you where my head goes like, because it's CrossFit and because with God's grace I'm a bit younger, so I sometimes overestimate people's bandwidth. I'll give her a very challenging workout, and she's like, "Trishy, you gotta stop. Like, I can't do this anymore." And a part of me is like, "Nah, like, come on, you got this." But but my mom started getting so upset with me, and then I, looked at this podcast by Amy Shaw, and she was talking about these phases, and she's like, women are not meant to be pushed. Like, well, like I don't want to say it like that, but like they don't. There are specific times where you're not supposed to like go past exhaustion as a woman, because it can actually be a detriment to your point. And so right now what I'm trying to do is because I see her still on the regular, where she has headaches. She has a lot of mood swings. Her head, for some reason, it's only her right side. That everything hurts. I don't know why. And she
Really?
also has sciatica. So
Mm.
like like nerve base pain, near the tailbone all the way down to the foot.
Ugh,
And
yeah.
there's and like a part of me thinks like just when you said like 20 minutes ago that you're not about that, you're defective, or it just won't work, because I really feel like there's definitely a way she can heal, even though it's been
Mm.
like probably 3-4 years since this. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have her reach out to you. But now moving on to my aunt, and I feel like a lot of viewers can relate. She's turning like 57, and
Mhm.
she is one of those who, personality wise, she does not like she has this tendency to bottle things up. So
Mm.
if she has stress, she's not going to share it in a healthy way. If she
Yeah.
has a resentment towards someone, she will bottle it up. It's very hard for her to express herself. So that's one way. Like when you were mentioning like the behavioral and the personality side, I was like,
So
yep, that's my aunt. Like that's one thing she definitely has. But along with that, she's one of those. So again, I didn't know this until 3-4 months back, before I got very passionate about gut health. But the reason why she woke up very early was because the night before she used to have like a half a bottle of milk of magnesia, and then
I remember this.
she like when she woke up maybe 4 to 5 hours later, she didn't sleep very well either. She would try to go to the bathroom with little success. And so
Mm.
constipation was also is it currently even a big problem for her. And even like I think it was 2 years ago, when she was eating, I would see her do this. Like she would like have to like hit her chest, because she used to tell me
Mm.
that, Trishy, the food's just not going down, you
Mm.
know. I
Yeah.
know I'm throwing a lot at you,
No,
but
I
yeah,
and, like, my mind already starts turning, like, all the different puzzle pieces, but, like, one thing that's so fascinating is when we're emotionally stagnant, like, we're keeping these things tight, what do you think that does to our belly and our digestive system? Like, it
right,
tightens up, and that's part of the constipation probably, right? Like,
right,
our whatever we're doing, sort of emotionally, our gut mirrors it because that gut-brain connection is so strong, and one thing we can do is, like, work on letting her emotions out in a breathwork session, so she doesn't have to do it to the person she is, holding a grudge against, but she can let it go out of her body in a breathwork session, right? We can release and actually move things through and out of our body so that you can just be a little more easy and at peace, inside, and then your digestion can start to flow more easily again.
right. Yeah, because my aunt, she does this one exercise. She calls it pa, and it's kind of like my nephew laughs because it does look a little funny, but it's like she does an exhale like pa, and
Uh-huh.
she'll exhale it, and she'll hold it there for like 5 seconds. And so I think she is learning a little bit about this breath
Yeah,
work, but she has
yeah.
so much more to learn from you.
And then,
Yeah.
with taking any kind of medication, whether it be over the counter or prescription medications or whatever it might be, it's going to there's always going to be some kind of side effect, right? So
Right.
it's going to affect your good bacteria, or it's going to affect your stomach acid or something. So testing the gut is just it's always such a great thing, because then we're not guessing
Right.
about what
Yeah.
to do. Because then you're just throwing ideas at the wall. Let's try this. Well, that didn't work. Let's try this. With the testing, it's like, okay, we can see exactly what's going on with you. And some of those like stress or emotional issues, it might be because your body just isn't creating GABA, which is your brain calming neurotransmitter. So if we
Mm.
can just get your body to start making GABA, then your brain might calm down and you might be able to handle stress and emotional situations a lot better. So it might be something physiological that we can adjust to help that gut brain connection too.
Absolutely. It's just personally for me, my hope is she's not too dependent on milk of magnesia now because she's thoroughly taken it for a decade. So a part of
Mm,
me is very worried that like right now inside her head, it's like it's a fact that she needs it without surviving. Yeah, like she needs it for survival. Her
mhm.
milk of magnesia.
Yep.
So much so I remember she was on this cleanse called Jindal. It's in India some or sorry, yeah, I believe it's in India somewhere, and it's this
Mm,
it's this juice cleanse. They make you do walks, they make you have wheatgrass, and it's supposed to really purify you. And even there, she would have her small Microbiome tablets,
mhm.
and I used to be like, that's defeating the purpose. But for her, it's just it's a habit.
And if she is telling her body, because our body is always listening, if she's
Right.
telling her body she needs it, the body will need it,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, because whatever we tell our body thinks is truth. It doesn't know truth or untruth. So, if we can, I would keep her on it until we can find other
Right.
solutions, and then I would start adjusting her mindset, and we would
Mhm.
start telling the body, "I don't need this anymore. My digestion works perfectly." So before a meal, if she said something like, "My digestion works perfectly. I digest this food and have smooth, bowel movements," then your body starts to listen to that rather than, "I have to have this milk of magnesia," right? So we can just start switching the language a little bit as we start
Sure.
physically working with the body as well.
Love it, love it. So yeah, I
Mhm,
think that that's the first best step, just getting that test, getting the proper understanding of what's going wrong, and then from there, the proper lifestyle, proper supplement. And I really appreciated how you mentioned the supplement because I never knew how healers like yourself come up with the you can say supplement stack that a
mhm,
person should be having, and it makes perfect sense. It's like getting those cues from that microbiome test.
mhm,
That's like the holy grail from which everything is all the information is coming. And it's like from there we can understand, okay, you have a deficiency in this vitamin, in this mineral, and slowly you can build it from there. I
mhm.
appreciate that. That makes it
And
super clear.
sadly, these
Mhm.
days, our food is very depleted. You know, the
Right.
the fruits and vegetables we eat now are not the fruits and vegetables that our great-grandparents ate. I
Yeah.
think you would have to eat something like 5 times the amount of apples today to get the same nutrition in 1 apple that you could back then. So,
Wow.
that's another part of why I do believe that supplementation is almost always necessary, unless you, like, live on your own farm and grow your own food and you make sure that the
Right.
soil is the optimum soil, and don't use pesticides and all of that. And so just kind of filling in, like, of course, we always want a whole food
Mhm.
diet to, get our vitamins and nutrients from the foods that we were meant to get them from, and then filling in the gaps with some supplementation. And there are some I go down rabbit holes of supplements. There are just some cool supplements out there that now can cover multiple bases with one supplement. So I like to kinda use those, because I don't want people taking 30 pills a day. So people are now starting to formulate these pretty amazing supplements that can really help fill in a lot of different gaps. So I use the gut microbiome test, And then also just, if someone is super stressed, I would go with certain supplements. If someone, there's just all these nuances to each person. But I do believe that almost everybody does need to supplement in a few different ways these days.
Got it, got it. Do you think that's just in America? Like this idea of like not having that same nutritional density in our fruits and vegetables as there once was? Or do you think globally, like this is like a problem we have?
I think it started in America
Right,
when we started monocropping. Back in the days, the farmers would always rotate their crops. They would always have ruminant animals that would fertilize. So we're monocropping, we're not having the ruminant animals. We're using so many chemicals and pesticides that are killing our gut bacteria. Like when we eat these pesticides, they kill the bugs on the plants, but they kill our gut bugs too.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now, this was an American thing, but now it's starting to spread to other places. But the other thing is like, okay, if you wanna get all of your omega-3s, which I also have my clients do an omega-3 test, so we can gauge their omega-3 to 6 ratio.
right,
No one has the right amount of omega-3s in their body, not a single person. I didn't when I did my test. And so to get all of your omega-3s, they say, "Oh, have some salmon, sardines, mackerel, couple times a week." Well, now they're coming out and saying it's not safe to eat that much fish because our oceans are so polluted, right? So it's like,
right, right,
so how do we get our omega-3s in a safe way? So that is probably something that I would have people supplement for once we can see what their levels are. So it's just those little intricacies like that are unfortunate. But the CDC says only 1 in 10 Americans gets the proper amount of nutrients from their food, which is such a scary thing. That means
right.
90% of people are not getting enough nutrients from their food.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, supplements. I think that that is just a strong testament to supplements are very key, and but not only that, the correct approach to supplements is first having a professional looking at what you really need, and then from
Mhm.
there layering that supplement profile.
Yeah, you could just be throwing money away if you're just randomly buying grocery store supplements. Like, I would rather,
Right.
really pinpoint what you need and buy them from a trusted company because
Right.
they're not regulated, so they can put anything on the label and anything in the bottle that they want. So I really like to only use about 4 supplement brands that are third party tested
Right.
and very trusted in the health field.
Got it. Got it. I'm just trying to digest everything. It was a lot of great stuff at once. Um, I'm trying to think though, because one thing that I keep coming back to is those root causes. I know you said there's a lot of different unique root causes, along with stress and along with poor nutrients. Has there been anything that we haven't covered that you see time and time again as a root cause that you are, on the lookout for?
Probably the biggest things that I see, and I always ask people, "Were you born C-section? Were you breastfed?
Right.
Did you have a lot of sinus infections as a child or ear infections?" And they'll be like, "Yeah." I don't know what that has to do with anything. Well, how many rounds of antibiotics were you on as a child? How many
Right.
times did your good bacteria get completely wiped out as a child? And then as kids, we're not building back up our good bacteria with all these different fibers and healthy diets, right?
Oh,
The kids'
okay.
diets are usually the worst. Like the
Right,
worst
yeah.
food on the supermarket shelves is usually the kids. So, it starts when you're young. And I have a question on my questionnaire like, how many rounds of antibiotics have you had in your life? 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 plus. And almost everybody checks the 20 plus. And that's a huge, huge piece of this puzzle because it like I said, it's a snowball effect. It starts
Yeah.
there, but then what does it do to your body to not have the gut bacteria? Then it starts this laundry list of other health issues, and then you go to the doctor, and the doctor just gives you more meds, and they put you on the PPIs that you're only supposed to be on for 2 weeks, but now you've been on them for 20 years, and now you don't have any stomach acid, so now you're not breaking down your food, so now you're constipated and you're overweight, and now you have brain fog because, so it's really this snowball. So those are really the top things. And really stressful situations, trauma, under eating is a big one. Like as women, we've had this
Right.
huge diet culture thing where we've always said, cut calories, cut carbs. Well, when you cut carbs, you're cutting out the food that feeds our gut bacteria.
Right.
So, every time we went on one of these diets, and we've all done it, we all did the low fat thing in the '90s. You're probably too young for that, but there was a big low fat thing in the '90s,
Right.
so all of these different diets, every time we go on a diet, every time we take antibiotics, every time we take a medication, every time we have a traumatic event, all of these things affect our gut. And
Right.
so, like I said, we just there's you can't take stress out of your life. You can't take toxins out of your life, right? But what we can do is just build your gut, like the strongest gut we can build for you. And that way, when these things do come your way, you're not going to be affected physically.
Love it, love it. Yeah, because now because when you were talking about those antibiotics, I know for a fact my mom and my aunt both are on your form, they'll write 20 plus. Because antibiotics is definitely, and I think maybe it's just in their like the way they were raised. I don't know why people just don't understand the consequences of antibiotics. It's just we haven't been taught the consequences on our gut, like the gut
Right.
bacteria.
And we just are taught to trust our doctor. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a big
we
one.
listen to our doctor, and our doctor says you need these. And maybe we do, but sometimes they're handed out for things that aren't even bacterial related, so we
Yeah, they might be
didn't need
viral.
them.
Yeah.
And but what the doctor doesn't tell you is that now you need to work on building back up your good gut bacteria after you take these
Right.
antibiotics. They were never taught that in medical school, so they didn't teach us.
Right.
So, it's a whole systemic problem, so I really like to reinforce to my ladies, like, it's not your fault, no guilt, no shame. This is just a product of our society, and so let's just now that we know better, we're gonna flip it around and we're gonna head the other direction, but you didn't know.
Right, absolutely, and you know another thing I have seen is that not just supplements. One problem is not that people don't know what supplements to take, but another problem is that when they do have issues that have a root cause in their gut and they just don't know how it manifested. So, for example, not being able to sleep properly or just having inexplicable migraines. Then there's like that over reliance on Tylenol or melatonin, right? And I'm speaking, like, as, like, looking at my mom and my aunt, that's something they're popping, these medications like nothing, and a part of me is
Mhm.
like, "That's not the way to go," um, but I just don't know
Yeah,
exactly what to say. Right,
yeah, yeah, and it's like you wanna get the good sleep, and you don't know what else to do, so that's what you reach for, and that's why I really like to work from the ground up and really teach how to get good sleep because your body can naturally get good sleep, but again, we were never taught that. And so
no,
it's so much more than just doing some deep breathing when you go to bed. Like
right,
our sleep cycle and our wake cycle and our hormones and our gut, it's all intricately connected. So when we can get each of those pieces to work right, then we get like this magical I sleep 8.5 to 9 hours every night. Women need a little bit more sleep than men, which is another thing that women
right.
don't know. We do need more sleep than men, so don't feel guilty about sleeping in, and don't feel guilty about rest. It's not lazy, like, we need rest, we need sleep. So, really kind of working on why you're not sleeping is the first part because for every person, it's gonna be different. So, the solution is gonna be different for each person too.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to end with one more a tangent that you mentioned, which is how important it is to cultivate that healthy gut when you're a child, right?
Mm.
I also have two nephews. So it's funny because I have a joint family. My aunt's son, he lives we all live together, right? So
Or
he's technically my cousin, but I call him my brother because he's always been with me.
yeah,
His two boys, basically my nephews, Akam and Yash, they so we're vegetarian. That is one thing. Just because there's no like it's just because I guess we were always that way. It was like a lifestyle choice my aunt had and we all kind of inherited that.
yeah.
And one thing I notice is he has this over reliance on these processed foods like Gardein, like the soy products, and I'm trying to
Mhm.
get him to eat healthier, but it's just very hard for me like to introduce like vegetables, fruits. I was wondering, do
Mhm.
you have any like best practices or go-to things parents and uncles and aunts should be on the lookout to be able to cultivate that healthy gut for the child?
Yeah, it's such a tough thing because kids have their own agenda, right? And
Right,
they can be very stubborn. I know this because my son, he had some things going on when he was little, and then something in his mind clicked, and he only wanted to eat the same foods every single day. And if I tried to feed him other foods, he would bawl and he would,
right,
like, almost throw up. So it was a whole situation. So I started one of his foods was spaghetti. That was he ate spaghetti every night of his life for 10 years. So I started taking mushrooms and kale and carrots and blending them up in the food processor and mixing them in with his spaghetti sauce.
wow,
And a lot of people don't they're not proponents of hiding foods in your kid's food. They're proponents of getting the kid to like the food, which I
right.
am too. And sometimes you just have to do what you have to do, right? The other thing
Right.
I do, because I have worked actually with a lot of children, is smoothies or shakes because you can make it taste like, you know, raspberries, which everybody likes raspberries, but you
Right.
can put a bunch of stuff in there. You can put supplements in there. You can put greens in there. You can put, you know, scoops of nutrient powders in there. And so, I think that making a kid, even if they just make absolutely terrible decisions the rest of the day, if you can get something in their body first thing in the morning that has some fiber and some protein and some nutrients, at least they're starting out the day on the right foot, and then even if they eat, Cheetos the rest of the day, at least they have something in there. So, I think shakes and like, soups are always a good way you can kinda sneak things in there too, like,
Right.
depending on, how picky they are. But I really am a big proponent of just taking the time to make that really healthy shake first thing in the morning.
Love it, love it. Yeah, I'm definitely
Yeah.
gonna tell my family about that, and yeah, fingers crossed, because we do have a food processor, so I'm already planning right now. But yeah, thank you so much, Marissa. As a final note, if someone does feel stuck, bloated, constipated, anxious, what's one piece of advice, um, or one piece of hope, like a message of hope you would like to leave them with?
I honestly, truly, truly believe it doesn't matter how old you are and what your symptoms are, you're never too far gone. And I have a lot of people that say that to me. I think I'm just too far gone. I 100% believe that your body can and will heal itself. It just needs the tools. Like, we have
Right,
this amazing body. I've seen people heal themselves from all kinds of terminal diagnoses, right? So, like, we can heal ourselves. We just need to take care of ourselves. I think we've gotten so far out of this idea of, like, self-care and self-love because maybe it feels selfish, or we always have to be taking care of other people, or we're just too busy, or we're just too stressed. Like, relaxing the nervous system, number 1. If you're always up here, just take a few minutes a day and, like, sit with your feet on the grass and just, like, look at the birds. It feels
mhm,
weird, but, like, that's such a beautiful gift for your body to just do nothing. And I think with phones and laptops and everything, our brains, we're always doing something. And the most beautiful thing for the body is just to give it some rest. So, doing a little meditation, a little breath work, just giving your body this beautiful, like, calm and peace is a really good, like, first stepping stone. And then focusing on whole foods, really trying not to eat foods that have a big label on them, or any label at all. If you focus on whole foods, that's what we were always meant to eat. So you can get your more nutrients, you can get your fiber, you can get your protein, just eating those beautiful foods that nature provides for us and trying to avoid sort of that whole middle of the grocery store. Um, and then really the way that we talk to ourselves. I think is just such a huge important thing. We tend to be really hard on ourselves and speak about ourselves negatively.
Mhm.
And once you start to just interrupt those patterns of speaking negatively about yourself and flip them around and say, instead of like, oh, I'm so fat and old, flip it around and say, my body is healing every day. I might not feel good today, but my body's healing a little bit every day because I'm taking care of it. And just starting to use those different words. It might sound woo woo. It's really not. It's really a an essential part of our nervous system and our gut brain connection is the way we speak to ourselves. And that's something that we can all really try and do. And it's free. It might not be easy, but we can all do it.
Love it, love it. And just to wrap up, Marissa, where can people connect with you and learn more about about the Happy Belly method?
Yes. So the happybellymethod.com. It's gotta have the in front of it, the
Right,
happybellymethod.com.
right.
I have a Facebook group called Nutrition for Women with Digestive Issues.
Love
It's a
it.
very literal name so that people know exactly what it is. And I do workshops and challenges and I have recipes and all kinds of resources in there. And then if you wanted to reach out to me personally, it's just Marissa at marissahugheshealth.com is my email. And I'm always here to answer questions and provide any resources that I can.
Love it. Marissa, you are the best. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom today. For anyone who wants to dive deeper and learn more about how they can optimize their gut health, please check out Marissa's Happy Belly method and all the resources she shares. I'll link everything in the description below. I know my aunt and Biome will definitely reach out to Marissa. And yeah, thank you so
Awesome.
much again for joining.
Thank you for having me. This has been so fun. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.